offer you competitive rates and no incentive to even do a good job on the customer service. And so between what they've done on the legislative reforms and then what we've done to provide the reinsurance stuff, that's a much different situation than we were looking at previously. And so I think it's been huge. There's going to be more to do along the way, but I can tell you if a company is going to be more interested in going to Florida today than they would have been 4 or 5 years ago. That's just the reality based on what we've been able to do. And then once you get that, and there's more predictability in the market, there's more stability. I mean, I think Floridians understand, if you live on the coast in Florida, your risk is going to be a little bit different than it may be in some other parts of the country. I think people understand that, and I don't think they are demanding or think it's realistic that their rates are going to be lower than some place that doesn't have perils. I think the issue with us is just the turmoil that you've seen. Companies will go out, they'll leave the state, they'll go out of business, rates will all of a sudden spike even more and all that, and it's just been bad feedback. So this is bringing stability to it. We'll be back in regular session and see, because what's happening is you're going to have all these reinsurers are going to be making these decisions now about how much capital to put in different parts of the world, but in the country. And I can tell you, had the legislature not done this, the chance of them not wanting to come to Florida at all was much higher than having done this. And so I think we'll see how that plays out over the next few months, and then we'll have time to be able to do more going forward. But just understand, Florida's property insurance market was very good for lawyers. Very good. It's made a lot of people very, very rich. But the question is that in your best interest to have a situation like that? And I don't think it is. Yes. So the insurance commissioner has been there a long time, is moving on. So that position is open, and that's being advertised. And so I would tell talented people that want to get in and be challenged that this would be a great opportunity for you. I mean, because this is obviously a very critical issue for the state. There's more attention from the legislature than probably any time in the last 10, 15 years on this. So it's an opportunity, I think, to do well. So we welcome any talented folks to throw their hat in the ring, and if we get some good applications very quickly, we would like to move and get somebody in place. I've been going through since the election. It's been, a lot of it is more just in the office. I'm not actually, out kind of broadcasting everything. But, we are still doing a transition in my administration. Yeah, it's the same, we got reelected, so we continue on. It's different than 4 years ago. We were coming in fresh, but you still got to look at every agency. There's some folks that from the beginning told me, I'm only going to do 4 years, and so we knew that. So we've been able to keep on a lot of good people. We're keeping Kevin Guthrie on, who's done a great job, so we want to continue that. We're keeping people on like our Surgeon General, Joe Latipo, is staying on. There's going to be some others. Insurance is one, and that's a cabinet, so it's not just the executive. So that's one. ACA, Agency for Healthcare Administration. We're going to be looking for candidates for that one. Of course, Dane Eagle from down here in Southwest Florida is moving on as the Secretary of the Department of Economic Opportunity. We anticipated that. This kind of end of the year is kind of a deadline for people in some of these positions because there's different things that are changing with the law and what you can do in the future. So we knew that would potentially be a pressure point. So we're going to be looking to do some stuff there. But fortunately, DEM, health, we're going to continue. Our DCF secretary's done a great job. We're going to continue to do corrections, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. So we've got a lot of continuity, but then we'll also be making some changes for folks who are, basically just moving on to the next challenge and kind of the normal course of events. But I can tell you this. When you have momentum and you're going in a good direction, it's a lot easier to kind of keep that going than when you're starting from scratch. And we started from scratch 4 years ago, had to create an administration, and we've been able to, I think, attract a lot of really, really good people, and people who, when you're in these positions, you know, these are folks that are really dedicated to the cause, and it's important because, you know, you can have great policy, can have a great vision, but you got to have people there that believe in it and are going to implement it and not try to undermine it or undercut it. And so we've had great buy-in, and we've had a lot of people that have really put the mission first. And I think that's part of the reason, you know, we've been so successful. I mean, I can sit here and do the press conferences, and I'll get more cameras than some of the other people who work in state government. But, you know, if I had to build the bridge by myself without having people who were willing to get in there and heed our directives and really work hard to implement our vision, you know, it wouldn't have happened as quickly as that. So all that's very, very important, and I think we've created a very positive culture of a can-do spirit and just get things done. So I've never been asked that before. So basically, you know, this was something that I've always supported. You know, the last 2 years, it was not necessarily a priority for the legislative leadership, but, you know, we've been talking about it, and he's pledged publicly that's moving forward, and it'll be something that will be done in the regular session. And that puts us in line now with the majority of states who have done that. And, you know, even states like Vermont and New Hampshire have been able to do that. So, we'll get that done.
In terms of the bill you just signed, what's your response to folks who say the law will help the insurance companies right now more than the homeowner?
So it's not a question about helping the insurance company. What it's about is creating a market where people are going to want to do business in Florida at all. And we're in a situation where we've seen companies leave Florida. We've seen them limit their exposure to Florida. So it's not about, hey, we want to help this company, that company. It's we want to have a market that people think is viable and that believe it's worth coming in and offering our citizens policies. And so we're now more attractive for people being able to offer policies. And so the question is, how does that help the consumer? Well, if we do get more people to come and offer policies, you are finally going to have, potentially, choices. And that will allow you, I think, to make the best decisions for you. Right now, you pretty much, you know, maybe have one or two. Some people just get dumped on citizens. That ultimately is not good for the consumer. And I can tell you it will be terrible for the consumer if you don't start getting more people into private policies and there's a major event. See, this area of Southwest Florida is not as heavy with citizens as some other parts of the state. But if you had a major event and citizens went belly up, you know, you could end up seeing assessments and a lot, and it would be really, really problematic. And so let's be a place that people want to do business. We want people to be able to offer policies here. We want a very transparent system. We've imposed obligations on the insurers in this bill, transparency obligations, quicker response time to acknowledge claims, things that I do think are very meaningful for consumers. But we've also said we're going to have a coherent market. We're not going to get ground into frivolous litigation. We want people to have claims, to be able to present those, get them processed, and get them paid, and that's how we're focusing on that. And so I think most people who look at that are going to say Florida's moved in the right direction, and I hope that we'll see more companies want to come in here and do business. So, okay, thanks everybody. God bless. Where am I going? Which way? Thanks, guys. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. Hey, thanks so much. Yeah. Merry Christmas. We'll see you guys. Thank you, Kathleen. Hey, guys. Hey, good to see you, man. Yeah, good to see you. Thank you all very much. I didn't recognize you earlier.
Well, thanks for everything.
How are you, sir?